In case you missed it, here's a Sports Animal Rewind.
Today we're focusing on Conference USA. We bring in the head football coach at Louisiana Tech, Ruston, Louisiana. That would be Skip Holtz. Coach Holtz, Vince Ferrara, and Mike Strange here in Knoxville. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing very well, Vince. How are things going for you?
We're going great, and appreciate you were at my alma mater at South Florida, and certainly I'm sure you enjoyed your time down there. How's Ruston treated you so far?
You know what? It's been like drinking through a fire hose, trying to absorb everything that's being thrown at you in the first year. But it's been a very smooth transition. I'm putting the staff together and getting to know the players and trying to put together the offense and the defense and get everything organized. I think things have gone very smooth for a first year transition. I'm really looking forward to getting on the grass here in about another week with the players.
Well, there's so much new, not only new for you learning a new place, university, players, all that type of thing, you're playing there, but now you're joining in with everyone else that's having the change into Conference USA. What do you think about the league, the way it sits this year for you?
Well, this is a changing landscape when you look at college football and you look at where everybody's going to be. Not only there's a lot of new faces this year in conferences, and there's going to be a lot of new faces and a lot more changes coming around for next year. And I think it's going to take a couple years. Well, it's going to take probably 5 to 10 years for everybody to get their feet settled, to get into their league, and also start to develop some of these rivalries that I think we all want to see. You know, everybody hated to see kind of the Pittsburgh and West Virginia game go away. It was such a great rivalry game and being there as close as they are to each other. And I think it's going to be the same thing. When I look at Conference USA with a lot of the new members coming in, and I look at how differently this conference is going to be with new teams, with North Texas and with San Antonio and with a lot of the teams that are coming into it, just like I look at the new AAC where South Florida is, as you were talking about South Florida, and a lot of the new teams over the next 2 years that are going to be coming in with Tulane and Memphis and Tulsa and SMU and Houston. So I think there's a lot of changes going around, and there's going to be a lot of new things in a lot of the conferences this year. But it'll take us all a while to get our feet on the ground and really create the stability we want, and that's when we'll really have an opportunity to evaluate where the conferences are at that point.
Coach, just coming in your first year, I don't know if you had much say in this schedule, but I'm looking at your schedule this year. You only got 5 home games, and you play 4 games in the state of Texas.
Yeah, well, and that could be good and bad, and I'm talking about the games in Texas. We'd all like to play more home games, but one of the home games that we gave up was the Army game to play in Dallas, in the Cotton Bowl. And I think we have such a big alumni base in Dallas and Houston with the size of those cities, with the engineering degrees and with all the oil and gas in this region. We will have a good following. It'll be a great opportunity for us to play in front of a lot of our alumni where we'll be coming to them. And then playing that many games in the state of Texas, with us being an hour away from the state line and with all the talent in especially East Texas, that's going to be an area that we will recruit very heavily. So that's why I say it's good and bad. We all want more home games and have the opportunity to play at home, and it makes it much more convenient for our players. But at the same time, I think this can be very beneficial in some of the venues that we're playing in on the road and some of the places that we're playing this year.
To kind of follow up on the schedule, again, I know you weren't there last year, but I'm kind of a geography nerd, and it always bothered me that Louisiana Tech was in the WAC playing Idaho and San Jose State and Utah State. Do you get the feeling from people there in Ruston at Tech that they welcome a move to like Conference USA that's a little more compact?
Well, I am with you. I am a geography nerd as well, then, because I don't see any way that this can't be a better move. I mean, I just think geographical rivalries, I think, are so good for college football. I look at the Alabama-Auburn game. I look at the South Carolina-Clemson game. I look at the Notre Dame-Michigan game. A lot of these border war games, I think, are are great for college football. They're great for rivalries. They get our fan base involved. They get them excited. They get them fired up. I mean, it's something that people were talking about all week around the water coolers or the coffee pot at the office, and I just think it makes sense. And I think it's something that we've totally lost sight of in all these the conference expansions. I think they've lost it, and it's like somebody threw a stray dart at the dartboard. You know, it's like, whoa, we're going way over there. What are we doing? And so I think going into Conference USA for our fan base, for our players, I mean, where we're not crossing 2 and 3 time zones to try and get to the West Coast to play all those football games, I think now being in Conference USA is a welcome fit. Their bus trips, having Southern Miss 2 or 3 hours away, having Dallas a couple hours away, Houston a couple hours away. I just think it's going to be great for our players, but I think it's going to be great for our fan base because they can put a Bulldog flag in the window and drive 3 hours to an away game, and that has not been something that they've been able to do over the last 10 years here in Ruston.
We're visiting with Louisiana Tech head coach Skip Holtz here on the new Sentinel Sports page as we're dedicating today to preview Conference USA in college football until Tennessee football's fall practice starts next week. Coach, last year, 9-3 season. I know you weren't there, but looking at the scores in the games last year, 9 of the 12 games for Louisiana Tech had at least one of the teams scoring 50 points or more, including a 70 game, a 59 to 57 game. Can your heart as a coach possibly take that kind of offense and giving up those many points this season?
Well, I certainly can take it as an offense, but I don't know that I can take it as a defense.
Right.
You never mind scoring a lot of points. And when you look at last year's team, I think there were 31 seniors on that team, and 31 seniors walk out the door. And especially when you look at Colby Cameron, your quarterback, who had just a phenomenal year, went 10 games without an interception. You look at Patton, who was a draft pick by the 49ers. And you look at all the players that are in the NFL camps and had the opportunity to get drafted. There was a lot of talent walked out the door. It was a very productive team, but I think when you look at this year, we're going to have 9 new starters on the offensive side of the ball. And I think the key for us is going to be, I think it'd be very difficult to match that type of offensive productivity with the group of seniors that just walked out the door and the talent. But that doesn't mean that you can't win. We're just going to have to find different ways to do it, and I think we're going to have to get better on the defensive side of the ball if we expect to have any type of success this year, but that's where we're going to have to improve the most.
Well, you got a good running back in Kenneth Dixon. What about at quarterback? I've heard something about Scotty Young, the Texas Tech transfer. Is he the guy, or do you know that yet?
He is right now coming in. We talked earlier about South Florida, and I remember when we first went in there, I mean, there was one quarterback on scholarship, and B.J. Daniels. And it's kind of coming into this situation, there's 2, and one of them is a freshman. And I think Scotty Young is a transfer from Texas Tech. He was the state 5A player of the year in the state of Texas coming out of high school. He's a very talented young man. He's just going into his junior year, and he's never taken a college snap. It's more of the unknown with him and how that he's going to respond in game-like situations. But going out there and seeing the way he's matured and developed in the first 9 months since we've been here, or 8 months since we've been here, I think he's really done a nice job. And I think now that he can see that he's the guy and taking the thing over and watching him get better and better every week through spring ball, I certainly hope we've made that type of improvement through the summer. But I think Scotty Young's going to have a chance to be pretty good. But you started that question with a young man named Kenneth Dixon, who I think is a very talented individual, and again, just a young player and a sophomore, but I really think he has a chance to be something special and breaking Marshall Faulk's touchdown record as a freshman. I'm really looking forward to seeing big things out of a young man like that, who's one of the only returning starters we have on the offensive side of the ball.
Coach, I don't know if you've heard, you probably have, the conversation about fast offenses that potentially are safety issues for defenses and college football players. You're willing to go at a fast pace and throw the football around when you have the players. Where do you stand on that conversation?
Yeah, I don't know that it's a safety issue, and I don't know that there are any numbers to prove more defensive players have been injured since the hurry up. I think when you go back and look at the way football has transitioned over the last 10 years, I'll say, with the offenses and the spread packages and the hurry up offenses and some of the rule changes that were made a couple years ago, which really made it hard for defenses to keep up from a substitution standpoint or to be able to substitute packages in for third down nickel and dime personnels and things like that. And I think what it's done is just really kind of the offense right now is controlling the tempo of the game. But I don't know that there's any statistics to prove that there's more defensive injuries, especially with the way that the ball is in space as much as it is now. I would think it would even be less than what it used to be when everybody was running off tackle power and ISO. And the collisions were a whole lot more than they are today.
Squeeze in one more last quick thing. How long is your dad going to continue to show all that energy on ESPN?
And I'm loving it. I love that he's enjoying doing what he's doing. He has been such an icon and such a piece of the history of this game over the last 50 years since he's been coaching. I just think that for him to be able to stay involved in the game, to stay up to speed with all the teams and all the players and the coaches and what's going on, for him and Mark May and Reese Davis, who have a great chemistry on the air. I just think I'm really excited for him, and that he has made the decision to do it for another year, I think is absolutely fantastic for him to stay involved in the game. And I'm happy for him.